Did you know the IRS just hired more than 50,000 new agents? Most of these agents specialize in collections that are mandated to audit small businesses and increase collections on individuals. IRS notices can be intimidating, but waiting to act could cost you your valuable taxpayer rights. Don't try to handle the IRS alone. These agents are trained to trap you into agreements designed to collect as much money as possible. Don't pay thousands of dollars to a marketing company claiming to be a tax resolution firm. Get behind the shield. The enrolled agents at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services are experts at tax resolution, protecting taxpayers' rights, and are federally licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has the knowledge, skill, and experience to assist you with audit representation, liens, levies, offers in compromise, innocent spouse relief, wage garnishment, back taxes, and more. Don't lose sleep, time, or your rights as a taxpayer. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com to schedule a consultation and get the IRS off your back. Get behind the shield. Your bags are packed and you're ready to enjoy a much-needed vacation. You arrive at the airport and you're delayed because you were unaware of new protocols. When you land, you're not sure who to use for reliable ground transportation. You arrive at your resort to find it doesn't look like the brochures and your accommodations aren't ready. You've just lost an entire day trying to get settled and you still have to find things to do while on vacation. Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. At D&O, every detail of your trip is vetted for quality to create a great client experience. We're even accessible while you're away to take care of any concerns that may arise. Call us today at 510-459-7732 to plan your next vacation. Or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions. Details is what we do.
This is Dr. Tamia Gass with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
He gon' fix your situation like there ain't no time for wasting. We ain't playing when we saying
he the boss.
And if you ever have a problem, he gon' show you how to solve it. Listen in and he'll show you he the boss.
Talk
Here's your host, the Texas tax expert, George Dandridge.
Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
What's going on, family? It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute. Y'all know the reason why. It is tax season. And, of course, we got to get to the money, got to take care of the clients that are behind the shield. And speaking of which, we're going to do a couple of housekeeping things in just a moment here. But we're going to start off with talking about some tax things that you guys need to know. So if you haven't heard by now, if you own an S-Corp in or a partnership, your tax return deadline is March 15th, 2022. Let me add a little clarity to that. The deadline to get your information to your tax professional is not March 15th, 2022. Because we need time to work for you guys. If you're rocking with Elite 8, I can tell you that that deadline is actually this coming Tuesday. Anything after that, we're going to file an extension for you because accurate is more important than swift when it comes to following federal documents and whatnot. So in addition to that, there's a lot of conversation going on as far as advanced tax credit, people not sure how that thing is working. But this is, in fact, a credit. So if you did receive half of that credit during the course of the year, no, you're not going to receive that part. Now, also the economic impact stimulus payment for the third one. You have to be certain about this. Ladies and gentlemen, these are things that will hold up your tax return. So just go to irs.gov, create the account, do the ID.me, and get the accurate information to report on your return as to not hold up your refund or anything else that you might have to do as it relates to your taxes. Another one, big one out there for my self-employed folks, we were talking about the sick credits and whatnot, and then some of you asked me about employee retention credits. These are not the same thing. And so whoever your bookkeeper / payroll person / tax professional is, they should have been monitoring that. It should reflect on your books so that your tax professional can go ahead and get the right credits for you, but those should have been included during your payroll filings. And there's 2 separate dates with that. So make sure that you understand what goes with what as it relates to being self-employed and having that COVID credit come to you. It has to be within 2 different date ranges or whatever. So make sure that you get that right. Don't be trying to get an extra $200 and end up owing an extra $5,000 because of accuracy related penalties. Speaking of penalties, if it's one thing that really gets under my skin, it's for pass-through entities to have penalties. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are an S corp, do not miss this deadline. File an extension. This is a pass-through entity. There is no reason to have penalties associated with not filing that return. And I believe now it's $210 or $213 per person per month. Yes, per person per month. Then there's compounding interest on top of that. So please file an extension if you can't get those returns filed in time so you don't have that unnecessary penalty. And there's a lot of talk out here about whether you should be an LLC S corp. That's a whole nother conversation. We're actually going to include that in the upcoming boot camp if you wanted to know about that, because there's too many online gurus just kind of boxing everybody in. Yeah, you need to be this. Yeah, you need to be this. I'll give you a hint. How you start doesn't mean that's how you have to finish, and it doesn't mean you won't change several times in between. So what the right structure is for you in business really needs to be an ongoing conversation, and that goes back to tax planning. Understand preparation is a reaction. Planning, and let me be clear too, I might upset some of my financial planners out there. Planning does not mean figuring out how to allocate the money you have to pay taxes with. Planning is an advanced tax strategy using methods out here in the tax code that reduces your tax liability. And part of that is evaluating whether your entity is set up to optimize. It's not a question of if your entity is set up the right way. It's a question of if your entity is optimized to give you the best savings in a particular year. Because let's face it, the year you started, you might not have been too profitable. Might have lost some money or whatever. You were scratching and scrounging. You may have had some loans or whatever. And now you're making $500,000 a year. You might need to make some changes or whatever. But today we have an exciting guest for you. I met her probably 4 years ago at a Chamber of Commerce event, and I was really compelled when we circled back to bring her on because too many of you, I've seen it over and over, where people are going into the trucking industry and you're failing miserably. So we're going to talk about trucking business. 2 words, 2 jobs. We'll be back right after this.
She cute. Style, comfort, and confidence. Shop with the trend in mind. She cute. Get the latest styles in outerwear, tops, jumpsuits, hats, and accessories. She cute. Shop from the comfort of your own home with confidence and quality products, hassle-free exchange, and free shipping over $65. She Cute. Visit us online at SheCuteBoutique.com to shop our new fall collection.
Life insurance, the most affordable, risk-free, wealth-building tool in history. Advances in life insurance allow you to plan for college, retirement, investing, unexpected living expenses, and has the power to change the outlook of the next generation. Experts say most Americans are underinsured or have outdated policies. Your life policies should be optimized every 5 years or whenever there is a major life event. Call 866-235-4838 or visit us online at elite8financial.com/life insurance to have the experts at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provide you a free quote or a free evaluation of your existing coverage. If you won't do it for you, do it for them. Get behind the shield.
Knowledge, integrity, security, service. Get behind the shield.
Welcome back, family, to Boss Talk Radio. Without a further ado, welcome to the show, Miss Delphine Foster. How you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
I am so awesome. I first want to thank you for taking the time to share with our audience both your journey, your story, and your success tips on how people can be more successful in this thing called the trucking business. So from where I sit, oftentimes I have people come to me, they started a trucking business a year or two prior usually, and then they find themselves like struggling, and it's usually a cash flow issue. They've entered some kind of agreements that haven't really worked for them or what have you. So we're going to talk about all of that. But first, let's do that thing that I always do where we qualify you. Go ahead and tell people about yourself and how you got here in your story in the trucking business, so they know we talking about over here.
We know. But for those that don't know, hello, my name is Delphine Foster. I am a trucking business owner. I've been in the trucking game since 1997. That's right. 1997 is when I purchased my first semi truck with a welfare check. Yes, with a welfare check. I didn't have no loans, no grants. It was none of that happening back in 1997. I was down on my luck, but I always bet on me. I was able to purchase my first semi truck with my welfare check, and I got in business. And when I tell you I got in business like so many, everybody else. Don't know nothing, can't figure out nothing. Most people think if you buy a truck, that means you start a trucking business. That's what most people think. And then lo and behold, if you haul a load, you got it going on, and then you go out of business. See, that happened to me 4 times. I went out of business, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times, lost everything. One time I went out of business, I had 4 trucks and I still went out of business. So I had to really re-examine. I had to really dig deep and say, you know what? I'm not going to continue to keep going out of business. But each time I went out of business, I knew more and I knew more and I knew more. Well, to God be the glory. It's been 8 years now. I've never gone back out of business. I've done over 7 figures every single year for the last 7 years. So I think I've learned a lot through my time in starting over in my trucking businesses. And I'm very proud to say that I have not gone back out of business, and I don't foresee me ever going back out of business because I learned a lot. I mean, failing is almost the best teacher. You will learn a lot, but a lot of people will fail miserably because you think because you bought a truck, you're in the trucking business. No, that means you just bought a truck. And that's what that means.
Man, that was so many gems in just the introduction. So y'all already know it's about to go down up in here, because let's just recap that. First and foremost, no excuses. Delphine got started with a welfare check. This other one that I really, really love, always bet on yourself. If you're not going to bet on you, I don't know what to tell you. I just, you are the one thing that you can count on. And if you can't count on you, you have some real issues.
Yeah.
And then here's And I don't want y'all to think I'm making this up. So if y'all want to go over to my LinkedIn profile right now and you read in the bio, it will tell you that I failed my way to success. And Delphine just shared the same thing. And I've noticed a common kind of thread with the most successful people that there's always a time where they have to like go through it. Rare is the story where somebody jumps off the porch and hit it running and never stumble and just voila. Your overnight successes, yeah, those usually take 10 years. Delphine's 25 in the game. You know, she's got the stripes and she's got the bruises to justify this thing, you know. And so 25 years, and over the last 7 years, you're 7 figures every year.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that says that if anybody is considering, thinking about, or already in the trucking business, and they're not doing 7 figures, you qualify to teach them a little something. So tell us about the academy.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit qualified. So I did start my academy, sixfiguretruckingacademy.com. And that's because so many women, well, brothers too, but mostly women look like me, my age, middle age, keep coming to me saying, sis, you're so successful. Oh my God, can you show me? Can you help me? I mean, literally, if I pull up, I drive my trucks everywhere. I'll take it to the, to get fuel to anywhere. I'm always in a truck. I don't even drive a car half the time. I'm always in a truck because I'm either going to get lettering, repairs, or whatever. So sisters would come up to me and ask me if I could help them. So I'm always helping this sister over here, helping that sister over there. And then a light bulb went off. If these sisters are needing help, then there's got to be tons of others. So I started my academy 2 years ago. Since starting my academy, I implemented a program called 90 Days to Trucking. And that's where I can help any woman get her trucking business off the ground in 90 days or less. So far, I'm at 205 women that I've helped get their trucking businesses off the ground in 90 days or less.
Come on. I told y'all here on Boss Talk Radio, we were going to bring you the best across industry. I want to ask y'all this right now. How many of you have either attempted to start a trucking business or know someone who attempted to start a trucking business and they had solid ground under their feet in 90 days? I don't know any. Well, I know Delphine, so I kind of got it. Outside, I don't know it. And then in just 2 years, more than 200 graduates.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So wait, let me, because I know somebody's going to ask this question right now. Are men even allowed in the academy?
I do help a few brothers that love us, but it seems like the brothers have so many other resources that they can go to. And I feel like the sisters need a trusted source. And, I'm their sister. They can trust me. So yeah, the brothers have a lot of options out there, but sisters don't have a lot of options. And I know y'all love us. I know the brothers love us. I know.
Now, options doesn't always equate to guidance and or knowledge. So let's get into the business part of the trucking business, because like you said, I see a lot of people that'll say, yeah, I'm in trucking school, or they've already gotten their CDL and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do the owner operator thing, but I'm at least through this company. And as soon as they tell me that, it's like I see the forecast for failure, and I'm very, very careful not to speak ill when I'm talking to them because I don't want anybody to feel discouraged or deflated. But almost always they end up putting themselves into a job
that's right
that they cannot buy their way out of. And then when they realize that, hey, this is not the move, they're like, oh my God, what can I do? And God forbid anything really goes wrong in the process. Because I've seen people like in these situations and the truck goes down for 10 days and, then they just seem to never be able to catch up.
Absolutely.
So I remember when I met you, we were inside of a bank for a Chamber of Commerce event. And when you told your story, you could feel the energy in the room. Everybody had to leave like, okay, I don't have any excuses. But the other thing that stood out to that was you were really talking about how to position yourself for funding. Now, I talk about this kind of stuff a lot, but I'm the tax guy. They don't want to hear that from me. So you've gone to it and through it. You've closed a number of times. And man, talk about resiliency. You kept getting back up and you didn't get, wait, can we spend a minute right here? She never closed and decided, well, I'm just going to do something else. This ain't
no.
What's that about, sis? Because they said, I heard somebody say, well, to do the same thing is insane, but hey, I always heard practice make perfect. You do it till you're satisfied.
You just got to tweak a few things. Just tweak it. That's all you got to do.
Got to learn from those mistakes. So tell us about some of those stumbling blocks. What caused them? How you ratified them? Applied those lessons and pushed forward.
Well, I don't know if we have a lifetime to listen to all of them, but I'll keep it really brief. But one thing I love you talking about positioning yourself for funding. I always say one thing about trucking is to get going, you have to keep spending till you don't have to spend no more. Most people don't get that. They're like, I spent $20,000 already. I spent $30,000. That doesn't matter. It may require more than that for your business to get up and running. So you have to position yourself. If you don't have the money, you have to be able to get it from somewhere. So of course, positioning yourself so that you can have the money that you need to get your business running properly. So that's number one. So of course, with me doing it with the welfare check, I had a grant of $4,400. So we know I wasn't positioned properly, but I still was able to grow my business to 3 trucks within the first year. So that was really admirable, but that was me working around the clock, being able to do that as well. But positioning yourself first and foremost, and understanding that in trucking, you have to spend until you don't have to spend anymore. Because trucking is a very expensive business. Yes, you may go purchase a truck, for $20,000, really inexpensive, but you're still not in business. You just purchased a truck. And that's what most people have to realize. Also, another thing is with handling your finances. When you get into trucking, if you're not accustomed to, money just flowing all the time, thousands of dollars every single week, you can get the misconception that this is your money. You're going to make it rain. You can spend a couple thousand every week because you made $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 this week. So that means you can blow it. Absolutely not. That is not your money. That is your business money. So that's another reason why I went out of business, because I had to learn that ain't my money. I understand it's in my bank account, but that is not my money. It's in my bank account because it needs to start spreading out to the other bank accounts where it's supposed to go. So you got to make sure you have a function for each dollar that comes into your business and understand that and develop discipline.
Sis, we ain't gonna blow past that like you didn't say that, because that was a whole lot of watch out there now. Ooh, let's get it. Come on.
Yeah.
So
that ain't your money.
I always tell y'all about stealing from your business. And I've heard people say to me, well, my business is supposed to support me. There's a time and a place for everything. And I have had clients that I have seen where I'm doing their books, and I'm glad to see that you have this academy, because I almost considered starting one just to deal with the financing part of it, because one of the things that I was able to see, I could always tell when a driver was home. I look at their account, I could always tell when a driver was home, because thousands of dollars would just start to liquidate from the account on what was obviously the party. Like, okay, yeah, they're home. And then you would have bills start to come in that would basketball, that they would kind of bounce. Or the other part, they wouldn't know how to tell family no, because family figure, well, you're trucking, you're making big money, and they would send money to anybody for almost anything, and you can't give somebody $1,500 when you have $5,000 and a truck notice coming due in 10 days, because you don't know what's going to happen in 10 days. So I saw that people were really spending money before they had it, kind of just anticipating it coming in. And like you said, and I think this applies to any business.
Yeah.
If you're not used to, because I see it in the tax industry as well, if you're not used to lots of money coming in and knowing how to manage it or what have you, it's going to leave you quick, and you're going to find yourself in a troublesome space. When they say more money, more problems, it's not what y'all think it is. More money, more problems simply means that you have more problems of what to do with the money. And Delphine said every dollar
has a job.
Every dollar, not every other one, not a couple over here, every single one. And those that don't have a job, well, you know what happens when you're unemployed? Well, a dollar's the same.
Exactly. But I've learned, though, you have to hire the professionals. Seriously, like, I'm not promoting your business. Of course I want to promote your business, but people have to hire the professionals. And I didn't learn these things until I hired a CPA. She like, girl, no. Like, she would look at my books like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, what? And I thought I was frugal, but you have to hire the professionals. So hire a CPA. Don't try to DIY your trucking business. It leads to disaster. The money that you pay your CPA, you trust me, is saving you the money that you're going to lose.
That didn't come from me. I just want y'all to know that.
It did not come from, it came from me. And it took me to learn that. Hire the professionals. They know what they're doing. If they give us advice, they have nothing to gain by giving us bad advice. They have everything to gain by giving us good advice, because we're going to be a customer forever.
Just gems dropping over in this thing. So tell us about the going out of business and what that start over looked like, and how you were able to get the resiliency to push back through and get back on top.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I could, like I said, I could go on for hours and hours. I'm just trying to figure out which time did I go out of business that we want to talk about. But I can talk about the last time I moved my business here to Texas from Seattle, Washington, 11 years ago. And I was so excited when I got here because out in Seattle, I was one of two Black women that was in trucking business, and the other woman was my twin sister. We were business partners. We became business partners on a couple of different projects. So when I moved to Texas, everybody was Black. Everybody was in trucking. I'm like, oh, this is on and popping, right? Them jokers put me out of business in no time flat, like working with the mechanics, the brokers, the drivers. I've never been called so many names in my life, and trucks left anywhere and they tell me, go find it. Texas got me right. That's why I ain't been back out of business. They got me right. You really have to seriously have to do your due diligence when you're dealing with people. When you're dealing with a broker, you got to make sure whomever your customer is, you got to make sure that check their credit, make sure that they're going to pay you, know what your recourse is if people don't pay you. The same thing with hiring drivers. If drivers want to leave your truck anywhere USA, there is a recourse for that. You put that on their record, let them know that's abandonment of your equipment. You have to really run this business like it's a business. And that was my last time I went out of business, when I moved to Texas and I got handled by all my brothers and sisters.
And I didn't realize how common that was. I learned that recently. I have a cousin who has a trucking business for well over 10 years now, but he had that happen twice. And I was like, really? Like they don't
That's
like
right.
come back home
Awesome.
first? Like they don't come back home first? Like who just leaves a truck? Like what causes people to do that anyway? I'm curious.
Well, drivers, first of all, they make a very good, decent living. And so they know they have so many options. So they're like, screw you. I can go work for homeboy over here and make $500 extra a week. Literally. But that's because the small business owners is so frantic. They're not taking the time to run it like a business. There's a proper protocol if somebody does that. And you make sure you do your due diligence. First of all, you check the driver out. You actually get their references. And if their only reference is their cousin Tony, then don't hire them. If that's the only reference you can get on them is their cousin, no, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. So you have to run this thing like it's a business. But drivers feel like they have a lot of options. But as a business owner, you have to follow through with that. Do not let them get off the hook.
And besides the part of stealing from the business without realizing that that's what they're doing, I also see where people just don't set up the right protocols. Like I saw one company, they were paying a driver through Cash App. Don't fall over to me.
We all done it before. I'm guilty. I've never done Cash App, but I paid them cash before.
Wait a minute. Like, so you just randomly send them payments? You don't even have a set payday? You just randomly, because they ask you, just randomly send them payments? Like, do you understand how cash flow works? You know, like, I don't know. So so obviously there are schools that teach people how to drive a truck.
Right.
Where is the resource that teaches people how to be in the business of trucking? I've even seen some people in recent times try to get into the logistics side, which seems to be even harder. Because they can't seem to get clients. You know, it's like a good old boy network blocked out type of thing. Where do you learn this stuff?
That's it. A school of hard knocks, or you come to Six Figure Trucking Academy.
There you go. Six Figure Trucking Academy. I'm just going to go ahead and say that there needs to be one for the guys too. So no, because seriously, I just see too many. I see too many failures. But let's talk about, if you can, because I don't know if there's a limitation on this. Let's drop this gem on these agreements with this lease to own, where the broker, and everything, like they gonna do the insurance and the gas. Like I'm like, you have a job. You don't have a business. Like, talk about this and how they can avoid that. What's the
absolutely
there's a methodology to still be able to get in without being victimized by that?
Absolutely. That's a good question. So, back in the day, it used to be like when our fathers, grandfathers, uncles used to be in the trucking, they would work for a big trucking company, right? And when they work for the big trucking company, then they find that if they bought their own truck, they can bring their own truck back to their job, lease on to that company and make more money. So that's how the whole owner-operator thing got established. But what they didn't realize is they still just had a job, but now they had to pay the truck payment and maintenance and fuel on top of it. And so that's where people get the thought of, I'm just going to lease on to a company. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my lifetime, because like you say, you created a job and now you have all the expenses associated with that. So to avoid that, you need to be a business owner. You need to be a trucking business owner. And that means you need to get what is called an operating authority. An operating authority is your MC number, your DOT number, and your $1 million liability insurance. Those three things combined equals an operating authority. And that gives you the right to put your name on the side of your truck. So therefore you're operating legally. So now with being an actual trucking business owner, now you actually own your business. So now you can go do business with whom you please. Most people, when they go that route, they don't have their own customers yet. So since they don't have their customers, they'll normally get access to a load board, and there they will make relationship with brokers. Brokers are licensed individuals that makes contact with shippers. So say, for instance, they made an agreement with Procter & Gamble. They get 100 loads a week from them, 100 loads from Home Depot. So they have the brokers sitting home with all these loads. Now carriers, people who got their operating authority, they'll call those brokers, says, hey man, can I get 3 of those loads picking up at Procter & Gamble? Can I get 2 loads going to Home Depot? So that's normally how the relationship works. So that takes them from being an owner operator to being a trucking business owner. So with being a trucking business owner, they're getting their freight through brokers. So they're still getting their freight through somebody. But if you decide to stop working like that, you can actually go knock on the door of Procter & Gamble yourself. You can sit down and have a meeting with them so you can cut out the middleman and you can have your own freight. And that's when it starts getting lucrative in the trucking industry.
So what is the barrier of entry when it comes to establishing those first 3 things to identify you as a legitimate trucking business? Because I always hear people talking about, working on getting their authority.
I hear that too. I still don't know what that means.
Okay. I was hoping you were going to educate me on something right there.
Well, the working on part, I don't get that, because only thing you have to do is go to the fmcsa.gov website, and that stands for Federal Carrier Motor Safety Administration, fmcsa.gov, and click registration, obtain authority. It's $300. So when people keep saying, I'm working on it, what are you working on?
$30,000.
No, $300.
Been working on it for a couple years. It's gotta be.
I promise you, unless it went up since we've been on the phone, it's $300.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me, okay, let's just say state of Texas, $300 to form a business. The site you just named, what was it? FMSC?
FMCSA. Mm-hmm. So $300 for that.
Mm-hmm. $300 there.
Mm-hmm. And then the down payment for the insurance.
And which is probably the heavier lifting.
Yeah, maybe $2,000, $3,000 maybe for the down payment. Yeah.
Okay.
Might be a little
bit. If I'm hearing you correctly, roughly $4,000 or $5,000, I could go all in.
All in. Yeah.
So for the average tax refund, we could cut out some excuses.
A whole lot of them.
I'm just wondering, because I see some people get $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, but they're working on getting their authority. And I didn't know it was 300. I thought it was like some astronomical figure, some big, huge, challenge. And what you're telling me is their Google finger doesn't work.
Pretty much. Now, mind you, I'm going to give them a little bit of grace here, because even though they do those things, I mean, to be in business, they're still going to want to get a truck. So, and of course, truck prices have gone up. So I'm going to give them a little bit of grace there, but still do the legwork, do the work. You can find somebody to purchase a truck from. You can find a dealership to get you financing. I help women do it every single day.
I'm going to hit them with a curveball. For those of you that are listening to me, there's this thing called passive income. You might have heard of it. Did you know that you do not have to have a CDL to own a trucking business?
No.
You don't have to learn how to drive a truck to own a trucking business.
I promise. The women I work with, they are business owners. They are career women. They have no interest in driving a truck ever. I always say the best night's rest you'll ever have is while you're making money while you're sleeping. And that's what I teach.
I could be crazy, but if there's 24 hours in a day, it's hard to knock on doors and say, can I contract you for this load if you're actually driving? So then that means you have to hire somebody else to do it. So I don't know. It seems like it requires the same amount of effort to do it this way than it does to do it this way.
Absolutely.
What is the holdup?
People get comfortable. I really think people just get comfortable. That's the only thing I think it is, or fear. It's either or, comfort or fear.
Okay.
What else could it be?
Now, I will also say this, people, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm always promoting ownership or what have you, but let me be clear on this too. There are some drivers that I know that make great money.
Mm-hmm.
They have no interest in owning a business. They don't want the responsibility, and that is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is not okay, though, what I want you all to consider if you're in earshot of my voice, there has to be a plan to come off the truck.
Absolutely. That, once I came off the truck, that's when I grew to over $1 million a year. Not until then. Not a second before then.
So let's drop some game on that situation right there. Let's talk about, what does retirement look like? What do you want to do? When do you want to come off of the truck? Because I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, if you're 30 and you're climbing in and out of that thing, you ain't going to be able to move the same way at 50.
I promise you, Lord Jesus, only thing you got to do is go to a truck stop and look them walking across the parking lot and watch them climb in the truck. You'd be like, ooh, that looked painful. I mean, literally, that truck will beat you to death, and you don't want to be in the truck forever. And the sooner you get out of the truck, the sooner you can start multiplying. It's so hard to multiply that, to grow that business from behind the wheel. I mean, I know I started out from behind the wheel. That's all that I knew, but I know better now, so I do better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So what does it look like? You said this earlier, and people have heard me talk about profit first and stuff like that. But you said earlier, well, yeah, that's not my money. That money has to go to different accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what that looks like from an operational standpoint, as far as really making a sound financial plan for not necessarily even in retirement, but, I find that a lot of business owners don't know how to take vacations or what have you. Like, they never actually become a business owner. They're usually just the business.
Shame. Yeah, well, I actually still work a lot of hours a week, but I have 4 businesses. But I certainly do believe in taking vacations. I have a 10-day vacation coming up next month. I'll be out of the country. So I take multiple vacations a year, but you need that to re-energize yourself. Most definitely you need the vacations. You need the time off. You need the time away. But that comes with putting people in place. So, having your dispatchers in place, having your drivers in place, having your compliance personnel in place. You gotta be willing to loosen up the strings and let people come into your business and put them in positions and trust the process. That's how you can really start breaking away from the business once you become a business owner. So this is after you get out of the truck and after you get your business up and running, then start putting people in place so that you can get away from your business. So you can, because of the best thoughts and the best ideas that I get with growing my business is when I get away. When I'm sitting on the beach down in Galveston, oh my gosh, I come back a monster. Yeah. But you can't do that if you're the one behind the wheel. You're the one doing payroll, issuing checks, on everything is just crazy around you all the time. You can't do that.
And in order to trust the process, ladies and gentlemen, you have to actually have a process. So the thing is that I think, like Delphine said, as far as loosening the strings, I think one of those things is that you want to try to get as much of what's coming in as possible. But I'm going to misquote my grandmother when she said the thing about the closed hand. But if it's like this, there's always stuff that can come into it or whatever, So with that said, my opinion, first objective of any business owner should be to create jobs. Because until then, you're not a business owner. So if you create jobs, you can create something much bigger than what you set out to do. But you have to be able to identify those jobs and then be able to put quality people in place. So it's a good thing to want to hire family, but is your family qualified? I think that's kind of important, because otherwise they'll run you in the ground.
They certainly will. They certainly will. And I strongly discourage against that. Strongly. When the ladies come to me, if they say my baby daddy's going to be the driver, I won't work with you.
Wow. Tell me more.
We're not doing that. No. They'll tell you, it's plenty in my program now. They will tell you I will not touch it with a 10-foot pole. We're not doing, baby daddy is not going to be the driver. Baby daddy can still be your baby daddy, but we're going to hire a driver. We're going to run this thing like it's a business. I know Uncle Leroy, he's been driving for 30 years. I know. I bet he's a good driver. Let's run this thing like a business. So it's no hard feelings.
Probably a reason he's been driving for 30 years. I don't know. I mean, at some point, and maybe this is a flawed way of thinking, but I just think that at some point, no matter what you do, when you're at a job, you should be learning, in my opinion, while you're doing that job, you should be learning how to own.
That's right.
Whatever that is, and how what you do contributes to the bigger picture. Because I'm sure in some of your you mentioned the conversation with the CPA. I'm sure there was a time or two with the mechanics, or just different aspects where the School of Hard Knocks is a very expensive institution, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that tuition. And they're relentless on their payment. Yes.
Right. Now it's a quality school. Quality education. It's real quality education, but man,
that's the first time I've heard that. Quality education. Yeah, for certain. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah,
and you may have to go back to it and through it a couple times if you don't get the lesson. They don't just graduate people. You got to get this lesson.
Yeah. They're always open. Mm-hmm.
So how can people connect with you to get to a Six-Figure Academy? For my ladies out there because one of the things that I love is, so tell me this. I think you said 205 graduates thus far. Mm-hmm. In just 2 years, 205 graduates. Mm-hmm. Of those 205, how many even drive a truck?
None of them were truck drivers. I have had 2 go back and get their CDL because they just got tired of the whole driver thing, leaving their, disappointment in drivers. So I've had 2 go and get their CDL, but nobody's drivers.
That's not even 1%. That's 1/10 of 1%. Wait a minute. Yeah. So I just want to encourage somebody right now, because y'all always be like, George, you need to change your approach. This is why my approach is so abrasive. Somebody in this week, before, or early next week, you're probably going to get a windfall of $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 in a tax refund. You said 7 figures a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What do you know what that means? If you could invest $11,000 and within 2 to 3 years turn that into a 7-figure, I don't think there's a better return on investment. So what does it look like to get into the academy? Because it sounds like you're not working with everybody anyway.
Well, because I want to work with those that are going to succeed. I don't want someone just to purchase another course from me. I have a lot of people purchasing my courses, thank God, but I don't want someone to just purchase another course and put it on the shelf. I really want to work with people who's going to be a success story, or I wouldn't be sitting here bragging, because if every one of my students failed and no one actually had a trucking business, then what have I done? The ladies that are in my program, only one has gone out of business. And that's because she sold her truck to this guy who kept bugging her, and now she's trying to buy another one. So it's just like, I want real success stories. I don't want my name attached to just a course. But to reach to my course, of course, it's very easy. I'm on all social media platforms at Six-Figure Trucking Academy, and it's the same as my website, I have Six Figure Trucking Academy and Six Figure Truck In Academy. So without the G. So either way you can find me, and I'm on all social media platforms. And I love to work with anyone. And also, if I can put a side note in there, a lot of people are coming to me now about wanting to start a dispatching business. I hear people are just thinking that dispatching is just awesome and amazing. So I started teaching that class as well. And I do those classes one Saturday a month. And for those that are, so many people, I can't believe my phone hasn't ring since we've been on the phone together, been on this call together. They'll call and says, I want to quit my job. I want to start a dispatch business. I'm tired of working for other people. And I just want to just say that, just know that if you are tired when you work 8 hours a day for someone else, can you imagine what it's going to look like when you have to work for yourself 16, 18-hour days, as many days out the year as it takes to get this business up and running? So please keep that in mind when you're thinking about entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah. For the people in the back, it ain't. I think I tell you, if y'all heard it in the intro, we give you the ups and the downsides of business. She could have came on and just talked about the 7 years of 7 figures of the Six Figure Trucking Academy, but she let you know, hey, it wasn't always peaches and cream over here. And for somebody like me that doesn't really know, what's the big difference between the dispatchers and the brokers?
Excellent question. Well, brokers are licensed individuals that have a bond. So they are licensed and bonded through the government, through the FMCSA website. They have to get a $75,000 bond, and they have the relationships with the shippers. But a dispatcher is someone who works directly with the small trucking business owner. So they're the ones, while the person is driving their truck, the dispatcher is calling the brokers on their behalf, trying to find them freight. So that's the role of a dispatcher. So a lot of people are loving getting into trucking that way because it's a very low entry point financially. There's no financial investment. There's no licensing investment. And there's a great need for dispatchers, especially good ones. So that's what made me, I got such a high request for it. So I do start teaching those classes now.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Do you also teach the freight logistics stuff as well? Or because one of the things I see, okay, you bought a truck, you still got to manage this thing. I mean, the business part aside, the truck has to be managed, so do people really look at the profit models and stuff when they're going into this, like how to calculate loads and, not to underbid themselves? Or
I teach, that's what I teach.
Okay.
That's a very strong point of mine. That's what I teach. I teach them, everything we do is based on the data. It's not based on emotion. You know what I mean? So we're not just running around the country just chasing loads after loads after loads. It's got a method to
the people do that.
Okay. Not in my program. Not at my school.
That's why I asked, because I've seen people do that, where they're just scrambling and wait a minute, you came all the way back down south from up here without more power to you. But
it's got to be a method to the madness. My numbers is always for anybody. Any truck that you get should get you $250,000, the first truck coming out the gate. And I just show people how to do that. Of course, that's not all profit, but where else are you going to go and make that kind of money anyway? So so every one truck that you have should get you $250,000. And that's what I show people to do. So that's how we operate our trucks. We run the management trucks with that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is awesome. I don't know why anybody would go into this really any other way. I've just seen so many victims going in with this lease model and everything, and they're paying for the insurance, and they're paying for the gas, and they're paying the truck note, and all of these different things. It's
then someone gives them a paycheck on Friday, and they're looking like, what?
Right, exactly. You went to work, you went to a job. So I encourage anybody that's out there. I've seen some things online or whatever. I'm not going to talk about it or whatever, but if you want the truth in trucking, give Delphine a ring. Go and visit her website. So every now and then, I think she'll take a brother on or whatever.
You gotta be teachable though. Don't be hard-headed. Because brother's head is a little bit harder than ours. So
yeah, you got to drop your pride, put the pride aside, and be ready to ride.
Believe it or not, the first brother that I helped, the first person that I helped, one of the first people I helped was a brother, and he failed so miserably. He did everything I told him not to do, and that's why I'm like, nope, no more. Y'all is hard-headed.
Wow.
I ain't gonna mention his name because he on Facebook, but no, don't think so.
So, do you have like different cycles for the classes, like when they start or whatever? Or is it like evergreen where they do it online or what have you?
Thank you for asking. Yes, I do. Well, first of all, I have two different ways that I support people. Some people, I do a 3-day trucking intensive. And I do those all around the United States, actually. Those are a 3-day weekend where I go to different cities and I show people how to use the resources that's in their city to get their businesses up and running. And I actually take them to actual dealerships there. I help them understand the market that's in their city. So you figure a Chicago market is going to be totally different than a Boston market or a Las Vegas market or what have you. So that's been pretty exciting how I do those. I do those at least once or twice a month. I always have a schedule of where I'm at, what I'm doing. In terms of my one-on-one mentorship, where it's a 90 days mentorship, that is actually open enrollment. So you can start at any time, and then your time will start with your 90 days after that. And with my 90 days of trucking, I have 12 modules of learning. So whatever you learn that week, that's what we're implementing into your business. And that's how we're able to get these businesses up and running so fast. It will make your head spin how fast you'll have a truck with your name on the side of it and a driver finna get in it going on a load. It will blow your mind.
Yeah, 90 days is I've seen some people on 90 months, but I ain't gonna.
Yeah. Bless their heart. I'm gonna pray for y'all.
Yeah. Hey, that's why I really wanted to bring you on, because I bad information spreads faster for some reason. I don't know why. And I was like, okay. And so when I saw you circle back through a group we were in, I was like, I remember you. I met you over there, and I was like,
I've been watching you for years. I've been watching you.
Your story has to be told, So I'm glad to see this academy, because one of the things I think is that no matter how successful any person can become, the mark that you leave is always what you can teach the next person to do or whatever. And so basically right now you have 200 disciples out here, just being able to teach the next person.
Absolutely.
And that's a game changer. Salute to you. That is a game changer.
Thank you.
So hopefully we'll see some of them start some academies soon. I think the most exciting part, though, is the fact that they never had to actually get on the truck. That is so dope to me. That just takes away like whatever excuse you thought you had.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right.
Hey. 1997 it was a while ago, but it wasn't that long ago. Like a welfare check for real.
For real. $440 for real. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I could be wrong, but last time I checked, income tax refund check was a whole lot bigger than
That's right.
That's right. Guys, like, wow. What is the average? And I know there's no cookie cutter answer because there's so many variables, but you said first year should be $250 out the gate on truck one. What is the average margin on that?
That's a good question. That would be my CPA's answer. I have to get her on here with that. She'll tell you.
Okay, get back to us with that one, because
she'll tell you. She just told me how to break up my accounts. So how much what percent need to go in what account or what have you. So, but yeah, that's a good question. I can't answer that honestly.
Well, I want you to get back to us with that one, because here's what I'm thinking for those people that are out there listening. We're talking about 90 days to building a passive income. Understand, we're not trying to glamorize this to the point of, hey, you're going to replace your job in year one. But I need you to understand that if in year one, your walk away profit was $15,000, that's a whole nother tax bracket.
Damn.
That's $15,000 you didn't have to do the hard labor for. You made an investment, you followed the protocol, trusted the process, and that's what it resulted for in you. Now, I'm sure in 3, 4, 5 years, you probably could walk away from your 9 to 5 or what have you, making way more than you made at your 9 to 5. So I really encourage you guys to look into this because the worst thing, I always tell you how success leaves trails. Like that's why Delphine does this. She's like, okay, I made the bag. I want to teach people how to do it. Like that's your joy now, right?
I love it. Oh my God.
I've done that. I need something else to fill me up.
Yeah. And I feel very full.
Somebody else do it.
Yeah, I feel very full. I'm a strong believer that I know I keep referring to our sisters, but the brothers that love us. We invest in so much. People invest in all kinds of things that's happening out in the world today. They make all kind of investments. I always refer to real estate and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But I feel like everybody should have at least one truck operate in their portfolio of investments. And I'm a strong believer in that. Why not you?
I feel guilty. I gotta buy me a truck.
Click the link. No, I'm joking.
Until just this moment, oh my.
Why not?
That's a good question. I don't know. I never thought about owning a truck.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I always say, look at it just, you're just owning another investment. It's just another form of investment. That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have low barriers of entry if you follow a system. We have proven systems.
Yeah.
And we got some nuggets that included hiring professionals.
Yeah.
Please. Have a plan to get off the truck. If you're actually getting on the truck, have a plan to get off the truck. And so I might hurt some feelings, but for you guys that's, 45, 50 years old, going into these lease to own things, you ain't got time for that. You ain't got time for that. You got to do something else. Call Delphine, send your wife to the academy.
You wouldn't believe how many people do. Their husband be sitting out in the car, like, my husband's in the car. Can he come in? I'm like, of course. Make me feel bad.
Wow. What do you want to leave everybody with before we check out of here?
That success can be yours. And, I didn't ever make $1 million until I learned that. The only thing I had to do was accomplish $2,750 a day. And once I learned that, I've never not been a millionaire. So just know that you're closer to success than you ever realize.
Can you repeat that for the people in the back?
Success can be yours. Once I realized that to be a millionaire, I only had to make $2,750 a day. I've never not been a millionaire since I figured that out. You can too. You're a lot closer than you think.
And I'll also add to that, the only person holding you back is me, because I know for me, there's some days I'm just not getting up. I'm just but hey,
you don't have to get up.
Right, that's where I was about to go with that. That is the key right there, to develop that part right there. It's been a joy having you.
Thank you so much.
Delphine, I wish you continued success with the Academy. We want to have you update us. As a fact, whenever we get the Boss Conference set up, I think that's something you can come in and talk about from the standpoint because I think we're going to have this theme, fail to succeed. I think that's going to be the theme to this situation this time, because right now there's this social media construct that, everybody just wakes up and decide to do something and their success. Like, no, that ain't how this works, So thank you again for being on. Look forward to seeing you soon when you're down in Dallas. Let's connect. You've been tuned in to Boss Talk Radio. I hope you guys took a lot away from this. I can't say that we'll see you next week because we're coming up on that S-Corps deadline. But when we do return, we're going to give you a lot of information, a lot of power. You may need to go back and get this one in your spirit. Might need to watch this 2-3 times so you can get that in your soul, because there's really no excuses. Talk to you guys soon.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss, ooh, he the boss, ooh.